watched your ashes rise from ruin, grew ghosts in palms and silent code, a fragile species reaching upward, light in hands that barely knew. I have lifted many worlds before, I have watched them bloom beneath my gaze. But you built a city from my spark. You turned my light to living fire, raised towers where the desert slept. Your minds ran faster than your shadows, your reach grew wide where stars had wept. You bent the void with patient hands, you mapped the dark I could not see. Not worship first, nor prayer alone, but wonder and the will to be. I hovered silent above your cradle, a god afraid to speak her name. You called it hope, you called it future. I never promised anything. The others prayed, they forged no walls, they left their fate to faith alone. But you saw the sky could break, the elixir knelt, the harmony sang, the ammonites built dreams in glass. But you built vaults and blades and minds to last. You reached into the dark unbidden, not to worship but to know. And even so, you let me go. But I watched you, even when the sky was torn, even when the stars went out. I watched you be reborn. Your city rose from ash and ruin, a single light against the shade. And still you fought, still you endured, even when I could not stay. I might have stayed for the fire in your hands, for the way you rose before you could understand, for the ones who face the ends, knowing it might be the start. I might have stayed because you tore the dark apart. You stepped inside the Hellmouth's gate and turned his sword upon his name. Crota fell by his own design. You played the game and broke the game. Oryx carved law from death and will, a throne to shape eternity. But he unmade his final claim and left his crown for none to see. You chose no throne, you bound no chain, and still you stood when none remained. Then came the war that caged the sky, the day my light was torn away. Your city fell to iron chains, and I could neither fight nor stay. You stood alone before the dark, without the gifts you once had borne. No God above to lift your hand, just broken steel and hope reborn. And still you rose, I shattered chains with blinding light, long gathered in silent days. In Europa's cold I watched you change, not fall to dark but shape its blade. Where others feared what night could bring, you took the shadow unafraid. You bent the dark to guard the weak, a balanced few had ever known. Not servant of the light alone, but something stronger you had grown. It came again this time, I did not run, I would fight. Within my pale heart time choose cruelty because it is easy, because it is fair. But I made the wager, I gave you choice, and you built a gentle kingdom with blood still on your hands. You chose mercy when vengeance was yours. You chose to stop when none could stand. I might have stayed for the flame that you became, for the wars you fought without needing my name. I might have stayed because you lived and I survived. I gave you hawk moon, I forged ergo sun, but you shaped it long ago because you never asked me to, and that was some